Okay students, today we are going to study about electromagnetic induction, basically the introduction part, where we are going to discuss about the lot of experiments which were done by earlier scientists like Faraday, Henry and Lenz, and after which they concluded and formulated the law, very famous law, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so what exactly is electromagnetic induction? It means induction of electromotive force in a conductor by changing magnetic field or flux. Okay, so what is flux? Just like electric flux, we have a concept of magnetic flux which we are going to explore later in this video. Now here if you will see that magnetism induces electricity. In the previous chapter, like where magnetic effect of electric current we studied, there current was there, and due to current there was magnetic field produced around it. Now here magnetism, magnetic field of flux is there which will induce electricity. So earlier concept, moving charges and current produce magnetic field, and now we are going to study moving magnets or changing magnetic flux producing current. Okay, now the magnetic flux, phi is the symbol for it. Just like in electrostatics, it is measured by the total number of magnetic lines of force crossing the surface area normally. Okay, now just in electrostatics, the formula for electric flux was E dot A. Here we have B dot A. Okay, it's a dot product of magnetic field and area vector, and so because it is a dot product, so magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. If you have a very big area which is a curved surface, then in that case we take a small section of area and dot product of it with the magnetic field at that place, and then we integrate it to the entire surface, and then we get magnetic flux for that particular curved surface. Now SI unit, we know for magnetic field SI unit is Tesla, and for area it is meter square. So here the unit of flux will be Tesla meter square, which is also known as Weber. Faraday and Henry's experiment. So now we are going to see what exactly they did and how they concluded the Faraday's law, how they reached to the Faraday's law. Now you see here we have a coil. Okay, we have a coil, then we have a bar magnet. Bar magnet is at rest. Coil is connected to a ammeter or a galvanometer, anything. Here it is pointing at 0 at the center, so it's a galvanometer which detects the presence of current in the circuit. And even if you connect a ammeter here, the ammeter will read the amount of current in the circuit. Okay, now because there is no battery connected to it, so it is pointing 0. That means there is no current in the coil. Bar magnet is at rest, coil is at rest, there is no battery source, so the current in the coil is 0. Now he observed when he moves the bar magnet towards the coil, when bar magnet is moved towards the coil, then there was a sudden deflection in the galvanometer. Till the time there is motion here, there is deflection. The moment he stops, if he brings it near and stops his hand, stops the bar magnet, this pointer will come back to 0. That means 0 current will be there. And when he moves his hand back in the reverse direction, that means he is taking the magnet back, then again there is deflection, but now it is in the opposite direction. Okay, so that means whenever there is a motion of magnet, only that time there is current induced. Then what he did, he kept the bar magnet at rest, and then he moved this coil, and he observed till the time you are moving this coil, there will be deflection in the galvanometer, and the moment you stop this coil, the deflection will become 0. So either way, whether bar magnet moves or the coil moves, whenever there is motion, there was a deflection in the galvanometer. That means current was induced. Okay, now when relative motion between the coil and the magnet, then galvanometer shows deflection. Okay, then he also observed that faster is the relative motion, more is the deflection. Means if you move your hand faster, there will be more deflection. If you move your hand slower, there will be less deflection. Okay, that means if you're moving faster, more current is produced. If you're moving slower, less current is produced. And when you're moving your hand, you see the field lines, magnetic field lines. If you're going closer, number of field lines passing through the coil is increasing. When you're going away, number of field lines crossing this coil is decreasing. Okay, so direction of deflection is reversed when some pole of the magnet is moved in opposite direction, or opposite pole of magnet is moved towards the same direction. Okay, now then what they did, now they took two coils, coil 1 and coil 2. Okay, in coil 1 there is galvanometer, so there won't be any current. In coil 2 there is a battery, so there will be current in this coil. Now he observed when the coil is moved towards this first coil, there is deflection in the galvanometer, and when you move this coil away from it, there will be opposite deflection, and if you keep this coil at rest, there will be no deflection. So when you're moving it closer, field lines are changing here. When you're moving it away, field lines will change here, but when you keep it at rest, number of field lines passing through it will become constant. So whenever there is constant number of field lines passing through this area, there is no current induced. But whenever there is change in the number of field lines passing through this area, there is induction of current. Okay, a steady current produced in coil 2. Then when coil 2 moved towards coil 1, galvanometer shows deflection. When coil 2 moved away from coil 1, opposite deflection in the galvanometer. Deflection only till there is relative motion between the two coils. These were the observations. Then next what they did, they took two coils again. One coil had a galvanometer in it, which is pointing to 0 right now, and here the second coil is connected to a battery with a key, and key is open, so there is no current in the second coil, and there is therefore no current in this first coil. Now when you close this key, suddenly there will be increase in the current in this coil for a second or a two, for a moment. When there is a change for those moment, when there is a change in the current here, there will be change in magnetic field here, number of magnetic field lines here are changing, and so there was a deflection shown for a moment. Okay, and after some moments, when the current becomes steady here, there was no deflection here. It will come back to 0. Then again, when you open this key, it was observed that when you open key, current suddenly drops. When current suddenly drops, again there was deflection in the galvanometer here, but in the opposite direction. Okay, so relative motion is not absolute requirement here. We did not move any coil. Okay, but the current was changed, and so relative motion is not the absolute requirement for induction of magnetism or current. Okay, so galvanometer shows momentary deflection when the tapping key is pressed or released. Key pressed continuously shows no deflection. Why? Because then the number of field lines will become constant because of constant current. No change in flux will be there. When key is released, momentary deflection in galvanometer, but in opposite direction. So whenever you see whether you are whenever you are changing the position of the magnet or the coil or the current, in all the cases the number of field lines was changing, the flux was changing. It was the flux which was changing. Okay, so here you see, here we have a alternating current source. In the previous slide I showed you with a DC direct current source. Here it's a soft iron. Inside the coil there is a soft iron in both of them, and here is a alternating current. So the direction of current will keep on changing. If you see, upward then downward, upward and downward, it keeps on changing. So the magnetic field direction also keeps on changing, and because of this, even if you are not moving the two coils, the magnetic field here related to this is changing. Okay, and because of the change in the flux or the magnetic field or the flux, here the deflection in the galvanometer will keep on changing, left, right, left, right, left, right. This is because of alternating current. Okay, now if you have alternating current connected, side by side, if you keep these two coils, then also if there is a AC here, the direction of the magnetic field will change. Once it will be downward direction, another time it will be upward direction. So the lamp here will glow because of the induced current in the second coil. Now you see here, if there is a bar magnet and you take this bar magnet inside, okay, when you are taking bar magnet inside it, there is a deflection on one side. When you are taking outside, deflection on the other side. Okay, we can also increase the number of turns. Now here you see, we are taking this coil inside. Okay, when you are taking the coil inside, the area of the coil inside this is increasing. That means the number of field lines passing through this area is increasing, and when you are taking it away, the number of lines is decreasing. So you are getting opposite current. Here you had current in one direction, the red part is showing current in one direction. Okay, then it will decrease, and then the blue part here will show you when you are taking this out of this field, then the second part, blue part will come, which is showing the opposite direction of the current. So from all of them, the conclusion which was drawn was rate of change of magnetic flux was the cause of induced current. Okay, rate of change of magnetic flux. Then Faraday's law comes. Faraday's law, the first law is, whenever the amount of magnetic flux linked with the circuit changes, an EMF is induced in the circuit, which lasts so long as the change in the magnetic flux continues. Till the time there is a change in the magnetic flux, there will be current induced or EMF induced. The moment the change in the flux stops, the induced current or induced EMF will also stop. Then this was only about the induction part. Now how will you measure it? For that there is a second law. So the second law states that magnitude of EMF induced in a circuit is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the circuit. Okay, that means EMF E is equal to minus d phi by dt. Now d phi by dt is okay, rate of change of magnetic flux. This minus symbol is for the direction of the induced current or induced EMF, which direction is given basically by Lenz's law. We will do it later. Negative sign is for the direction. Okay, now EMF is equal to minus d phi by dt. So we know that flux phi, formula for phi is equal to NBA cos theta. B dot A is BA cos theta, where theta is the angle between B and A. If you have n number of turns, then NBA cos theta. Okay, now induced EMF can be increased by, how can you increase EMF? Now you see phi depends on n, B, A and theta. So to increase induced EMF, you know, d phi by dt you have to increase. You have to change this at a faster rate. So either you can decrease time, okay, time, that means you can move it faster, move the coils faster, or you can increase number of turns, you can increase magnetic field, area of cross section, or theta. So one way is increasing number of turns, another way is by changing the magnetic field by inserting iron core in the coil. If you insert iron core, you know that for iron is a ferromagnetic material, so its permittivity is mu or mu naught. So its magnetic field inside will become mu naught times higher, more. So by changing the magnetic field by inserting iron core. Then next third point is by changing the area of the coil. As you move the coil inside and outside the magnetic field, area is changing. Then next is by changing the orientation of B and A as faster. When we do AC generator, there we change the orientation also. So there theta changes. So now for the direction, the negative part which we got in second law, minus d phi by dt, that minus is for direction and the direction is given by Lenz's law. The polarity of the induced EMF is such that it tends to produce a current or the EMF which opposes the change in the magnetic flux that produce it. So the flux, you know, the reason, the cause which is producing induced EMF, that cause itself will be opposed by the direction of the induced current. Current will be induced in such a way that it will oppose its own cause. Okay, now there will be a separate video on the Lenz's law, how we apply Lenz's law to find directions. Now before that, let's do a question. Magnetic flux through a coil perpendicular to its plane is varying according to the relation phi is given. Phi is for the flux, a relation for flux is given. Calculate the induced current through the coil at t equal to 2 seconds if the resistance is 5 ohm. Now you see here, magnetic flux through a coil perpendicular to its plane is varying according to relation phi. So magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane. That means your plane and magnetic field, the area vector will be parallel to magnetic field. Your phi theta will be 0. So when you write B dot A cos theta, your cos theta will be 1. Now we know that EMF is equal to minus d phi by dt. So EMF will become minus d by dt of this flux. Okay, flux relation is already given, so we will just differentiate this, and on differentiating we will get 15t square plus 8t plus 2. Okay, and on substituting, because you have to find at t equal to 2 seconds, on substituting that value of 2 seconds at place of time t, we get minus 78 volts. Okay, that negative is for the direction, the magnitude is 78 volts. Now the induced current, that was EMF, okay, voltage. So induced current will be EMF by R. So 78 by R is given as 5 ohms. So 5 is equal to 15.6 ampere. This is how we solve it. Okay, thank you children.